Hey guys, we're back with our Sryth text-based RPG playthrough. We're in part 109. Yeah, that whole catching up thing did not work out for me. I'm just gonna stick to my 3 episodes a week and try to keep that consistent. So that's what we're gonna be working on right now. Hey, thanks so much for hanging out and joining me. I don't remember what I was doing last. Hanging out in Silverwist, but we're in my castle right now. So I'm gonna go look about here, do some upgrades, and then roll out. Thanks so much for hanging out and joining me. Let's just go. Let's do some upgrades then. No, just go back. Let's improve the ones we have first. The cheaper ones. We got a flag going on, we got the grove. Anything else? No, just the expensive one. Alright, we'll do the expensive one. I don't care. It's just gold. I don't spend gold on anything. What we talking about grandeur wise here? 902. Let's save. It's been 6 days. And then let's leave. I don't remember what Swiss was. Oh, it's by Tridmore. Let's go back there then. Unfortunately, that was yesterday. We read this already. We're going to report to Captain where we're going to have our adventures. All right, we're going to keep on going with Silverwist adventures. Thanks so much. You know, it's going to be fun. We got a few to do, so hopefully that takes up a couple episodes at least. But hey, going to be fun. First mission of Millock. Let's go with that. Embark. While speaking to the Captain Millock, you learn that you've been given a troubling. He's just been given a troubling piece of news. Reports from the south say the brutal mountain goblin warrior now. Okay, I think I've done this already. I've done this one already. And maybe it respawns? It must respawn. I'm not going to read it again and do it again. Or maybe I just didn't save. But you saw me do it. So I'm not going to reread it for your pleasure. Let's do the next one. The Engine of War. A lone border ranger scouting the southern moor was the first to witness the 2 dozen mountain goblins making their way north toward the outskirts of the village. If the goblins themselves weren't cause for immediate alarm, given the vast scope of the peril now surrounding Silverwest, the tower of wood and rope being hauled across the rugged moor terrain behind them was. Captain Millock's face grows ashen as a young border ranger named Tyndall relates to him the news of his grim discovery. A bomb sling. I've done this one too. I should. I mean, archery. We're always going to do that first. Okay. I really must not have saved. I feel like I save every time I finish these games. But hey, we need all this to sell for the moolah, okay? Alright. Let's try the next one. From above. The panic shouts of several soldiers reach your ears while you're passing through the eastern part of the village. You're about to turn to start in the direction of the desperate cries and a savage shrieking, piercing shriek from behind causes your heart to skip a beat. You spin on your heel, prepared to defend yourself, but utterly unprepared for the horrific sight that greets you. Swooping out of the sky, a blood-drenched claws of your hands and feet outstretched before it is a winged skeleton. The vile flying undead hisses viciously as it bears down on you from above. And I have a slashing weapon that's good against undead. The moment the swooping skeleton is within range, you deal the winged fleshless undead creature savage blow that lands it in a heap on the ground before you. Before the winged skeleton can fully regain its feet, you're upon it, determined not to lose your advantage over the undead horror. Yeah, this is new. Chorus of pierces shriek from overhead sends a chill length of your spine as you cast your eyes skyward, where you're greeted by a truly horrific sight. No less than perhaps 200 winged skeletons are soaring over and sweeping into the remains of Silvers in what is the first major assault on the heart of the resistance. Your first thought is to return with all possible haste to the command post in Hedgelong Tavern, for you realize that the safety of Captain Miller, the stalwart leader of the defense, is vital to maintain the morale of the beleaguered defenders. When taking a dozen steps in that direction, you suddenly find yourself Confronted by a pair of winged undead, the cruel minions of Runeskin land less than 10 yards in front of you, shrieking loudly with their deadly talons poised to tear you to shreds. Now they're dead. But 200 times? You leap over the reins of your foes and rush off in the direction of the commanders, hoping to find still intact and praying no harm has befallen Captain Millock. As you near the village center, you hear the sound of battle coming from the ruins of Hedgelong Tavern. Several human voices rise above the din, but are quickly drowned out by a chorus of ear-piercing shrieks. You steal your nerve, preparing to charge into the unknown. When out of the corner of your eye, you spot four winged skeletons moving west across the village square. A quick glance in the direction reveals that the vicious undead creatures have a young soldier cornered against the smouldering remains of the village hall. You've little doubt that the skeleton is now moving in for the kill. Young Sheldon, who you now realize has been badly wounded, staggers over and thanks you with some degree of difficulty for saving his life. You drape his arm across your shoulder, keeping him from toppling over and attempt to steady him on his feet. These soldiers return from the battle front, rush opportunity to take us the other comrade. Both men thank you for swiftly moving up, and before swiftly move up to attend to their wounded charge. Without hesitation, you turn and rush off in the direction of the Hedgelong Tavern. A fierce battle rages in and about the ruins of the Hedgelong Tavern. Dozens of winged skeletons are engaged in a brutal fight against a small group of soldiers and a handful of border rangers. You not see Captain Millock among the embattled defenders, and though you dare not imagine the worst, a sinking feeling rises from the pit of your stomach. There's little time to dwell on your dismay. As you near the southern edge of the tavern, you're quickly set upon by three of the gruesome winged undead. The third skeleton is only just come from the ground when you suddenly find yourself facing a larger group of the winged undead. I mean, not really, it's still three. You instinctively duck, and as a shriek rings out of your head, narrowly dodging the grasping talons of the winged skeleton. The vicious creature lands. I bit my tongue or something. A few feet in front of you and turn with a snarl. The undead fiend is much larger than the others you've faced so far. Doesn't matter. A shout from a nearby soldier alerts you to four winged skeletons closing in on you from behind. You spin to face the undead threat, quickly scanning the melee for any sign of Captain Millet before you are engaged. You leap over the remains of the four skeletons and rush to the other two embattled soldiers. A group of the 9 winged undead have them back against the remains of the tavern west wall. The soldiers are pitching about your fight, but you doubt they can hold out much longer against the charge. You're within 10 feet of the battle when 5 of the fleshless horde turn to face you. Yeah, got him. Rejuvenation. The two soldiers, having just finished off with the four remaining skeletons, thank you before rushing west to aid a group of their beleaguered comrades. You're about to follow them when on your right catches your eye. You turn your head and your eyes fall upon a ghastly scene. Standing amidst the charred remains of the headlong tavern, towering over the unmoving body of Captain Malik is a massive six-armed skeleton, each of his fleshless hands gripping the hilt of his sword. You instantly realize you're looking upon the curse plate, one of the most feared minions of Runeskin. Watching her as a cosplay slowly raises two of his swords and wants Pete to be strike the unconscious captain a killing blow. Let's read about these two. Rexico Millock is a Tissian army captain whose name has become synonymous with the horrendous incidents in the foothills of the full Runian Range some years ago, where nearly an entire regiment of soldiers on his command were ambushed and assaulted by a large band of forest trolls. It was believed and reported, though never proven, that Millock was inebriated and unfit to command in the hours leading up to the fateful ambush. Yeah, I remember reading this. Let's read about Curseblade. The savage six-armed skeleton warrior known as Curseblade is among the most cruel of Runeskin's harbingers. It is believed that Curseblade rules over the dark never realm of the undead, but not engaged upon his master's bidding. I'm going to go with fortification. The Curseblade hisses angrily as two sword glance off a shimmering silver field now hovering above the prone captain. Seizing the opportunity, you charge forward and attempt to drive the fearsome undead creature from its intended prey. You're nearly upon Curseblade before he turns and spots you. The vicious undead minion Runeskin hisses and steps forward to meet your attack. With attack, Curseblade saggers back beyond the reach of your attack and hisses loudly as the damage you've inflicted upon him begins to rapidly disappear. Without a word, the fearsome immortal undead commander turns and strides off to the east and is soon out of sight. You can quickly swoop down and attend to Captain Miller. Captain Miller is barely conscious when you arrive at his side, but after a few moments you are able to somewhat revive him, and he attains a sitting position. He tells you that the cursed blade appeared out of the swelling black portal just as the winged skeletons begin their assault on the village centre. You learn that he and the four soldiers immediately attacked the fearsome minion of Runeskin, honestly realised that they were overpowered and completely outmatched. Lucky to have had you come along when you did, he said, slowly rising to his feet. This bodes ill for our command. The enemy can appear and strike at will. Very, very ill indeed. The sudden departure of Curseblade has served to break the undaunted spirits of the winged skeletons. The vicious undead You can take into the air in large numbers and flying off to the east where they're likely recruit for another assault. Right then, said Captain Miller, as he surveys the grim scene surrounding the command post. Nearly a dozen of his men lie dead amidst the shattered remains of the enemy, and a dozen more have suffered serious wounds in battle. You help Miller and his men gather the dead and tend to the wounded. It is an unsettling task, but one that reminds you of the ruthless and savage enemy facing not only Silverwoods but all of Sryth. Alright, next one. Barbaric. That's barbaric! Desperate cries from a group of defenders on the eastern edge of the village's main square send you charging out on a makeshift command post prepared for battle. A lone, broad-shouldered, fur-clad figure arrives in the square, a heavy broad-bladed sword gripped in his right hand and his face mostly obscured by the tangle of dark hair that hangs over it. Not far beyond where the menacing figure stands, you spot the bloodied bodies of 4 soldiers, the same soldiers whose cries of alarm roused you to action only moments ago. Allison, bellows the figure, his deep resonating voice shattering what had been a momentary silence. Allison, face me. You step into the open, intrigued by the use of your name, and determined not to allow the savage foe to penetrate any further into this hub of the resistance. The man's wild eyes, which had been scanning the ruined buildings, lock onto you, and his grins wickedly. The wrath of Grumble comes to you, Allison, he roars. Grumble. Few figures in history of North Broadlands have been as feared as the most mighty barbarian known as Grumble. The very name of the legendary barbarian is synonymous with terror and destruction. For nearly 20 years, he terrorized the eastern half of the North Broadlands, beating, capture, and brutalizing anyone who dared to attempt to stop his campaign of robbery and murder. Grumble was eventually slain in the Battle of Tissian Knights. The knights who actually struck him the killing blow never has never fully been determined. Okay. Grumble, the very name of legendary barbarian, is synonymous with terror and destruction. For nearly 20 years, he terrorized the eastern half of North Broadlands, invading, capturing, and brutalizing any who dared attempt to stop his campaign of robbery and murder. You can only speculate that Runeskin has somehow brought this barbarian back from the dead. Regardless of how it happened, however, you're unhappy to come to the realization that you're the best hope for the defenders have of putting down this unwelcome menace. Without further words, Grumble sounds a fearsome battle cry and charges across the square at you. Your mind races, you hurriedly contemplate your next course of action. Archery. Your arrow takes flight and screams across the square as a collision course with the charging Grumble. The barbarian twists to the side at the last second in an attempt to avoid the speeding missile, but the feathered shaft sinks into the left side of his torso, halting him distracted, sending him to one knee. Grumble winces as he tears the shaft from his flesh and casts it aside. Before the mighty barbarian can resume his charge, you're upon him, determined to take advantage of any opportunity to gain the upper hand on such a brutal combatant. For a second time in his existence, though centuries removed from the first, the hand of the hero has removed the terror of Grumble from the world of Sryth. You quickly search his remains and finding only his sword, which although not magical appears to be of unmatched quality. Yep. The victory over Grumble, though a remarkable feat, leaves you wondering what other devilry Runeskin and his minions have in store for you in the defenders of Silverwoods. Unsettled by the encounter, but determined not to let it weigh heavily on your mind, you make your way back to the command post to report it to Captain Millark. Next for Captain Millark. Couple more, yeah? Let's hit it. A ragged band. The 11 men standing before Captain Millark is a makeshift command in the makeshift command post amidst the ruins of Hedgelong's tavern. Hardly look like what you would call a formidable fighting force. These men, mostly middle-aged, though some a bit older, carry an odd assortment of weapons ranging from wooden clubs to short swords, and outfitted in leather and hide armor that offers only the most meager protection. Captain Millark is in the midst of explaining to the men the brutality of the fight. They appear so eager to join, and one of them suddenly shudders violently. You instinctively leap between the captain and the band of men as a horrifying transformation comes over them. What? The Tesoro, oh my gosh. A chorus of hissing erupts from the 11 men as they rapidly change form. In a matter of moments, you find yourself standing between Captain Millark and 11 red-scaled Tesoro. The foremost of the vicious serpent men slither towards you, and his short sword leveled at your chest. We had not expected to find such illustrious protection afforded to so broken a commander, hissed the foul creature. We were to find you next, Allison, but this is much more convenient. From behind you, you hear Captain Millark draw his sword. You harshly order him to stay back, realizing that without him the resistance and civil wars would soon crumble. The Tsar leader slithers backward, and 4 of his brethren snake forward and attack. I mean, I think you all should attack at the same time if you want to have some headway against me, huh? 5 of the vicious Snake men slither forward to take the place of the fallen. You take a step back and stalwartly engage the vile creatures. Take it, take it, take it. The axe-wielding Cesaro slithers forward as the leader of the vicious men slinks behind his wide, unblinking eyes fixing you. Cut that down! Leave the other for me! Or you're dead, and now it's time for you and me. Oh, I've run out of room. A sickening gurgling sound rises out of the throat of the dying Cesaro on it as the vicious creature collapses to the ground before you. You only step forward to challenge the leader of the statement when he suddenly pitches forward, striking the ground face first, his long handed knife buried down deep in his back. Uh-huh. None incredibly sporting of me, said Captain Miller, retrieving the knife or leaping off the fallen Cesaro leader's head with his long sword. Sorry about that, Allison, but I can't go and let you receive all the glory. The enemy finds no challenge in penetrating our perimeter, says the captain. You've helped him remove the Cesaro carcasses. After you've helped him remove the Cesaro carcasses from the command post, we certainly can hope to combat that which Sorelli takes on such believable guises. I'll need to make certain we increase our guard in and around the main square outside, though I'm not sure what good it will do. What men can be spared for such a detail? A young scout returning from the scrub forest enters in the ruins of the tavern and addresses Captain Miller with his report. You take your leave of the captain and step outside the command post, wondering where next the sinister shadow of the enemy will fall. Alright, let's go sell some stuff. Let's go to Trimore. Visit Trimore. Visit the harbour area. At the River Guild, they'll give me more money. So, let's see. I'll take it, I'll take it, I'll take it. No. I'll take it, take it, take it. Sell it. Yeah, okay. Oh. That's my encumbrance. A lot. Go back. Browse, sell, armor now. 86k? Where do you sell something like that? I mean, you can have it, whatever. I'm not gonna find places. Like, I can't give away something 86k for 15. 8. Again. Another 5,000. Leave. Travel. Let's up at the castle. For the storeroom. Let's store this. This. Do I not have anything on my neck? I have the Amulet of Winds on. Oh, yeah, okay. Buy candles. Buy candles. Alright, let's go back to Silver Wisp. Okay, this is part 1. Two scouts returning from the eastern outskirts of the village into the command post and informed Captain Miller of a grim discovery they made just this afternoon. You listen with great interest as the scouts describe in detail a steady flow of cave goblins emerging from one of Silverwood's long abandoned ore mines. The consensus is that the enemy must be using the mine as a base of operations, and without hesitation you tell the captain that you will investigate and deal with whatever you find there. The scout takes their leave, each of them bowing before the captain and then acknowledging you with a curt nod. You don't know the relief your words bring me, says the captain, sighing heavily as he sits on the edge of the char table in the midst of the ruined tavern. You might find more in that place than you expect, but I hardly think I'm telling you anything you don't already know. You have my eternal gratitude, Allison, and you go with my blessing, but I order you to return here safely. We can't afford to lose you. Meet Captain Milliken and shoulder cross and set out at once for the abandoned mine. In less than an hour, you are perched on the edge of the steep hillock, overlooking a flat expanse of bleak moorland. Only 30 yards from you, rising out of the willowy grass in the dark mouth to the abandoned old mine shaft, two black armored cave goblins, their breastplates emblazoned with a pair of crossed lightning bolts, stand on the guard in front of the mine entrance. Loathsome creatures appear to have little interest in their duty. Archery. Now this seems familiar. What the flip? Look at this place. Okay. I mean, let's go. I'm gonna go left first. Led by the sudden movements in the shadow ahead, you press yourself up against the wall of the passage and peer into the gloom. Slowly, as your eyes manage to pierce the deep shadows of the tunnel, the danger you perceive takes form. 7 black armored cave goblins, their breastplates emblazoned with a pair of crossed lightning bolts, stand in the middle of the passage and several yards away, speaking amongst them in harsh guttural tongue unknown to you. These foul creatures have not spotted you. Attack! Kill them. Take non-common stuff. With no desire to linger longer than necessary at the scene of your attack, you quickly check your equipment, catch your breath, prepare once again set off on your way. Yeah, I'm not going to read it every time. I'm not going to take common stuff. 7 this time. It's 30. Alright, let's keep going. The tunnel ends abruptly in a wide alcove, where your eyes fall upon a sight they're both standing and Reggie, chained to the wall, bloodied and battered as a young soldier, one of the braided fingers of silverware. Slowly, you lift his head, which has been slumped against his chest, and acknowledge you with a nod and a weak smile. It's obvious to you that the brave soldier suffered great misuse at the hands of his savage captors. You stoop and examine the heavy chain, sturdy lock that bind the soldier to the wall. Let's go thievery. Make short work of the sturdy lock, springing it open in a matter of seconds. You help the soldier regain his feet and then begin the arduous, dangerous task of seeing safely out of the mine. You make it to the entrance of the mine without encountering any more goblins and step out onto the broken terrain of the moor with the formerly captured soldier at your side. The fresh air seems to invigorate him, and he thanks you and tells you that he'll be able to make the return trek to Silverwhisper on his own. You wish him luck while he departs before once again turning your attention to the abandoned mine. From a small hollow at the base of the steep hillock, only 24 yards from the entrance to the abandoned mine, you carefully monitor the surrounding area while keeping out of sight for anything that might emerge from the shaft. I've been healed, you guys. So we've been that way. Let's go this way then. More goblins. And this sturdy one. Alright, let's go south first. Nothing there. Okay, let's go this way then. Attack. 1 gold. Attack the goblins. See, if we went sneaking, we wouldn't be able to get out of there with that guy. Let's go south. This way. Don't have the means to free the soldier. Yeah, we do. Okay, he's on his way. Alright, this time let's go north. You progress along the mine passages, brought to an abrupt halt as a hulking black armored cave goblin emerges from the gloom ahead, snarling viciously. The savage creature draws a heavy axe and begins stalking along the tunnel towards you. Why would I run off? It's dumb. Oh, it's a key! The large goblin staggers back and collapses on the floor of the tunnel. His entire body twitches for several seconds before coming still. You're about to step over the corpse and continue your way when you spot something lying on the ground next to him. You stoop to examine the curious object and discovers a square-ended iron key. You decide to take it with you. With the key tucked safely amongst your belongings, you once again set off along the passage. Okay, we fought this guy. Ready? Attack. We found the key, guys. Not that I needed a key, I have thievery, which makes me amazing. Check. Alright, let's hit up north first, this way, since we're already over here. And then let's go south. And then up here, which is most likely another soldier. Oh, swinging skeletons. I meant to read that. Oh, there's a shadow path. Oh, no. We gotta close this path. You leap over the corpse of the three goblins, eager to attempt to somehow close the shadow path before your enemies emerge, but you're taking less than 3 steps forward when the inky surface again ripples. An enraged bellow fills the chamber as a massive cave troll stomps out of the portal, and a hefty wooden club clutched in its knotted fist. The troll grins wickedly and roars and then charges at you. Oozing blood from a number of vicious wounds, the fearsome cave troll drops to his knees and then topples face first on the floor of the chamber. You step clear of its walking carcass and turn your attention to the shadow path. The swelling black surface of the Neville gate again ripples. When the shadow path emerges, one of the most fearsome beings you've ever laid eyes upon, a towering, bald-headed human warrior, roughly the size of an ogre, wielding an ornate two-handed sword, and clad in the same lightning emblazoned armor as the goblins you've encountered, steps out of the swirling vortex and laughs heartily upon catching sight of you. So your little one giving me creature such a tussle, he laughs, his deep, unfriendly voice echoing loudly off the walls of the chamber. I am Prince Ayako, loyal servant of the Master and steward of the realm of Leonorth. Your heroism impressive, but it ends here. Who's this master you're talking about? Runeskin? Oh my gosh. Prince Iakor's eyes suddenly glow a brilliant blue, and the two hulking forest trolls emerge from the shadow path and draw up next to him. He waves his left hand, and you watch in horror as the two beasts rapidly morph into massive black wolves. Tail to a throat, but spare me the head, roars Iakor as the two nightmarish canines bound forward and attack. Or they're dead. The master's eyes seldom lies. Brings a towering bull-headed armored warrior as he assumes a combat stance. You know that you now face his true champion, Lord of the realm of Leonorth and the gatekeeper to his kingdom. You steel yourself to engage the fearsome brute. Prince Iakor, dead, ain't ye? Bloody and sounded beating, Prince Iakor started back. No, he's not dead. Beyond the range of your blows and curses, we shall meet again. He hisses through clenched teeth as he steps into the shadow path and lost from sight. Much to your dismay, the shadow path remains open. Um, Sure. Realizing you must now attempt to close the shadow path before your court worse returns to it, you step forward and place yourself squarely in the front of the swirling vortex. You hold aloft the shadow stone and it instantly becomes icy cold in your grip. The heart of the shadow path ripples for an instant and is as affected by the power of the object now vying to close it. What? Shaken, but otherwise unharmed, you also continue your attention to the shadow path. Okay, good. With another of the enemy's invasion points now gone, you're about to make your way to the chamber when suddenly an involuntary shudder runs underneath your body. You turn and are shocked to discover that standing near the wall with the shadow path is a ghostly figure of an armored man, his head wrapped in a burst of cloth. The man wears a tabard that bears the insignia of the Tissian Knight. The ghost of the knight regards you with a slow nod and then bends down and lays what appears to be a wooden haft of a weapon on the ground. The haft takes solid form and the moment he withdraws his spectral hand from it. The half of the demon scourge, says the ghost, motioning for you to retrieve the item. A hammer, whose stroke is yet to be realized, but whose hour is readily upon us. Take it with you and keep it safe. Okay? Slowly and cautiously, you step forward and take hold of the heavy wooden half. The knight's ghostly smile briefly smiles. The knight's ghost smiles briefly as you take hold of the half, take it safely among your possessions. Over 400 years ago, we also stood against this beast. He said grimly, the forest east of Tulinus were our battle ground, and I dare say a more savage contest is yet to be witnessed. There are 200 of us, proud, valiant, and slain to a man. The rest of the night's ghost how he arrived here and why he was presenting the half of the hammer known as Demon Scourge. It's a great tale, but there is no time to tell it here. Trust me when I tell you that, when assembled, the hammer has the power to drive the beast from this world, even in death I am not free of its wrath, and indeed his minions pursue me, for the master's way of the weapon, it perhaps the one thing he truly fears. Night falls silent for 7 moments against the faith from view. I will gather the remaining parts of the Demon's Court while the beast's minions don't catch up with me first. Leave the head of the pommel of the hammer. We meet again soon, near another gate. Continue the fight, says Ghostly Knight. The beast is mighty, but defeat is not unknown to him. May the All-Father go with you. The ghost of the night nods solemnly and disappears, leaving you once again alone in the chamber. You linger here for several moments before finally turning and leaving the chamber to begin your trek out of the mine and back to Silverwest. The abandoned mine is now true to its moniker. No sign of any living foes remain in the twisting tunnels of the subterranean labyrinth. After a lengthy trek through the dark, I probably missed the guy. The dark, you emerge to the pale sunlight of the late afternoon and start off across the moor towards Silverwest. Captain Miller steps out of the room of Headlong Tavern and greets you with a shoulder cross as you stride up to the makeshift command post at the center of the decimated village. You relate to him the success of your mission, and he smiles broadly. You don't know how good it is to have a bit of news like that. Fight goes on ever on here, though, and it becomes more brutal with each passing hour. Take the captain aside after making certain you won't be overheard. Tell him about the encounter with the ghost and the abandoned monitor on the wooden shaft of Demon's Gorge. If what you told is truth and not one of the ogre's tricks, it might just be what we need to drive him back to his own realm. He says, running a finger along the length of that. It's good to know we might have an ally in this fight, even on the far side of the death's door. You take wisdom in the words of Captain Miluk, and those words weigh heavily in your mind as you contemplate your recent travails and abandoned mind. If indeed the spirit you encountered spoke the truth, you will now need to somehow find him again and obtain the rest of the hammer known as Demon's Gorge. It could be the only real hope of victory against the immortal might of Runeskin. However, if the spirit and the hammer are just a cruel ruse devised by the ogre and his agents, you cannot yet fathom their intended purpose. Your thoughts turn back to the present as torches spring to life in and around the village square. Night falls over Silver Wisp. Oh, it's part two. Yep. Well, we're not going to do part two right now. This is going to be the end of this episode. Hey, thanks so much for hanging out and joining me. We're going to continue on with Silver's quest as long as they keep coming up, and then we'll move on and see what else we can do. Until next time, you know what I'm going to say. Peace.